Okay, even though it's filling, and then suddenly it's 4 seconds in. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That way people aren't sending like very short ones, like what happened there. Not that that's been happening, but I know people like to do it sometimes, especially people that are not being fixed. So I'm just gonna wait till we get viewers. I guess I'll say at the top this time. If you have any, if you're wondering when this is gonna get going, um, what post is there? Um, and you're waiting to see what the content of this video. I would suggest skipping ahead. Once this is posted and you see it, I hope you'll be curious. I hope it'll be beneficial to you. I would suggest skipping ahead to get the content. But I really don't want to do much until we get viewers. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me to do that. It's not the way I like to do videos, especially these days. I prefer to have engagement. But I also don't like to wait and be lonely, or be in my head holding thoughts in, waiting for people. Oh, we got a like already, which is very weird because it doesn't show that there's anybody viewing. Oh, there they are. Hello, welcome. Thank you for the like, and I'm glad that you're here. Um, if you don't mind, let me go just sit forward a little bit. Um, so aside from music, as you can see in the title, and I'm curious to know how you came across this video. Are you subscribed already? Did you search something? Was it just very random? Um, Now that I've asked you some questions, I kind of want to pause and let you work on typing. But maybe before you do that, if you're able to multitask and listen while you're writing, let me know, because then I can just ramble on. But so glad you're here. I just started. Oh, it's Patricia. Hi, how are you? Good to see you again. I'm glad you're becoming a regular. I tried to actually tag you. I just did one, which was mostly waiting for people to tune in, but there was maybe something worth hearing in it. And I just did one. Why do Siamese cats seem to be following me lately? Actually, I think it was you that said you had a Siamese. But then I was talking to someone who has one in their picture, and then doesn't have Christmas plans, but doesn't live right within the city. And I don't know if she drives. She reminded me a little bit of my mother in her look. But so it was cool. And she's also not that close with us, but it was cool to find out she doesn't have Christmas plans because neither do we. But well, not much, not yet. But anywho, basically, yeah. So I've really appreciated seeing you here the past couple of times, and sometimes you're the only one engaging. Um, Sometimes people are viewing, but comments make a difference too. So, um, oh really? Is it that late in Virginia? Because it's like 9:30 in the morning here. Or you're just thinking ahead of time. Yeah, and like I said, like I mentioned in the other video, Thanksgiving here in Canada was like in October, I think, and so happy Thanksgiving though. And did you watch the Macy's Day Parade? Because I'm seeing that all over YouTube, especially in the live section. But and it's so close to Christmas. But yeah, before you go, hopefully you got some time. Like I say, I mean, I can't remember. And you told me the other day, and I think it was only the difference of an hour, which means it should be about 8:30 or 10:30 in the morning, which is not dinner time, unless you're and you're heading somewhere, so you're not like at home cooking. But if you ever are and you want to have something to listen to, and you notice that I'm live, or you just want to come find some of our videos, and you're welcome to play them in the background. And then if you're able to put a comment here and there, that's great. Really appreciate it. So, in saying all that you might be kind of typing on. It doesn't indicate that you are, but I'm feeling you might be because you're cool. You're cool like that. I just wanted to. Oh, we have a second viewer. Hello. So this is very viewer led as well. by the comments and engagements, and I've got a bit of time before I have to leave as well for the dentist. So not, I mean, I guess if you have a good family, I mean, sometimes it's still hit and miss, but it's kind of like some may say, oh, getting together with my lovely family and having a holiday dinner is more enjoyable than the dentist, you know. But I was surprised they didn't even have a lowest review section in the reviews. I was surprised how many people said good things about the desk ones, but on the phone, once or twice, I've had decent experiences. Nothing worth raving about, but with the admin staff there, I don't know if it was just that particular day. One seemed to be tired and under the weather, and the other one, I don't know. But yeah, anywho, what I wanted to talk about is one of the things I'd like to talk about here is, and actually, and I did a tester earlier, so I'm pretty sure you can hear me. So as long as you're okay seeing me a little bit further away from the screen, I'd rather sit here. It's more comfortable. This is just a scarf thing. And I'll see your comments. I will come and see your comments. I can almost actually see them from here, which slightly surprises me, but I've seen those ones. One of the things I would like to talk about is the mental health system. I don't know if our viewers utilize something like that where you live. I don't know. I mean, some places don't even have it. It's true, but it's not great. I mean, I'll share a little bit about myself, okay? And I just started doing videos in here recently, and it's kind of a shared channel with the other person in the house. People I shared Facebooks and emails all the time. And at different points in my life, and I think we can all relate to this, I have been more one can be more connected, whether it's because they work or they're in school. I mean, those are two big things about society that if you don't do them, your social circle can, at the same time, and it's frustrating too, because like I have quite a bit of free time, but I don't drive. I do have some social anxiety. I don't have a lot of money. So being involved in things becomes harder. That being said, I've never drove, but I didn't have some of the anxieties I have these days, I guess. And times are different. Like, I don't want to sound judgmental, but there's one thing, although I haven't noticed it the last few times when I've been out, and in one area it has been bad, but and sometimes I'm just busting quickly past there, but a couple times I've been on foot and I've thought, is it just those times? But basically, we are stressed and tired here after elections. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into religious or political debates at all if it's in respect and empathy. But I mean, some things just go so against one's values. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. It always should be, as now it's down to one viewer. I hope it's you still, because I don't know about the other person, but it always should be. But, so basically, I hadn't really compared the two. Like, I think about the past and I get nostalgic sometimes, but I never really compared the fact of like, yeah, I didn't drive, but you know what? I was connected to my mother then. And that was one good thing about her. I mean, there were some not great things, but that was one thing about her, is that she did help me get around easier. And actually mostly stress-free. But and as a mother, didn't charge me. She knew I couldn't pay anyway. But I did bus a lot more then too. I mean, recently I had a situation happen in my life where I was taking short bus rides because it was still a little too far to walk, and there was still a walking portion actually after the bus ride. So even in the winter, it actually wouldn't have been all that bad, but that fell apart, unfortunately. Not because of mostly not my own doing. So that was, I've come to some acceptance about it, but it's been hard, and I can elaborate if you'd like. But I just want to finish what I was saying here, and I'm so glad you're here. You're the only one that's here. I don't know what time it is there, but yeah, basically, So, and one of the things I did within the year and some of last year, like near the end of last year, was I had been going to a group. Now we are about 10 minutes into this video, and I don't know if I want to say the thing that I almost said to Glenn this morning before he left for work. But the energy, I mean, I understand life is hard and yada yada. There were some people I call it as it is. I say the facts. I don't want to talk about people this way, but really, the few people that were there, most of them were, and one of them actually could be, but then she could also very much not be. And the contrast was just weird, not very intelligent, and bad energy in some ways. And so basically, um, yeah. So and the dog is looking at that. Hope he's not chewing any clothes. So basically, uh, but then there was a reason I stopped going to that group. Aside from that, like there was somebody in it, kind of like the other thing I went through recently, where there had been something happen within the past, but we were managing to kind of mostly ignore it or get past it. But then something happened with someone else, and it's been this weird thing in my life that I'm not used to. I don't know if you've ever had experiences like this, but I'm curious. Where one thing I used to go to, I was told I couldn't anymore. Oh no, so let's start with the old church, okay? I mean, I'm more agnostic, but I don't believe that. Well, I do, but I don't support his cause. I chose to stop going. Next, another place, about a year, a little less than a year afterwards, they told me couldn't keep coming. The third place I chose, I think I'm missing one, but if so, I'm only missing one, I'm pretty sure. And the fifth place they chose. And so groups can be good or bad. And it was in person. If they are supportive and focused on moving forward, they were. It's not that it doesn't lead nowhere. Sometimes you got to do that. And sometimes, one thing about them is most of them were older. Not that older people don't use technology, like in their 50s or 60s, so not super old, but they really weren't techie. So they weren't getting any benefits that you can get from using social media. One of them kind of did, but I think she maybe didn't had spotty internet, and she may have had device issues or something. But she was one that, especially in the summer, but possibly in general, did get out quite a bit. And I think she got along with some people in her building. Most of them had apartments, I think. But, some of them lived alone. They weren't very socially connected. It was the only chance to get things off their chest, and they're allowed to. It's just, it's been quite a bit of time now, so I can't remember, like less than a year, but I wish I could remember one guy, for instance, and this is not meaning to sound judgy, even though I know it does to some people, but he said something, I mean, and he got to be this way somewhat. He would just allow things to happen, but he wouldn't think things through or something of that nature. I wish I could remember more examples, because you just have to believe me that and it was kind of disturbing in a way, because like, I don't know I don't want to ask your age, but I mean, it's just a number and I'm not judging. I don't know how old you are, Pat, but it's kind of like, I would hope that the older you get, and I don't like ageism, because there's a lot of smart young people and there's a lot of obviously dumber older people. But I would like to think that as you get older, you get your life figured out. Like, I feel like I'm living in retirement and I'm late 30s because I'm not working, and I feel old a lot of the time, partly because I'm not working. It takes, it has an impact on the body. But I would hope that as you get older, you get things figured out. But life is hard. I understand that. Anyway, point of the matter is that, like, I used to go to one group for quite a while. I used to work. I was at times in school, outside of high school. I'm trying to remember the things I used to do. I used to go to a place which I almost was able to go to recently, but As far as just going there to play music, I still don't know who I'd be expecting there and whether I'd want to run into them or not. They might not be okay with the idea. And three, I might want to be there more often. Unfortunately, it's not a day program. You have to spend through the night there. It's a respite place, basically. And with Glenn's health and somewhat my health, but we were able to arrange it so that I had the room that was the only room along that wall. Because I had to fall asleep to music because of tinnitus. And you can't sleep with headphones on very easily. And earplugs don't do anything, and they fall out most of the time. But she was fine with putting me in that room if I was to go there. And they said, well, you can stay just 3 nights. But I was worried about the dog having separation anxiety from me, Glenn getting into a cleaning frenzy when I wasn't here, although he works during the day and I plan to be here in the evening. And you just never know who's there. And I'm a picky eater, so I may or may not like the meals they make. And it may or may not want to go out depending on what the weather's doing. But they do make meals. It is company. It is support. But a lot of people are new there. She said you might be surprised, how many people you're familiar with. And when I went to that thing, I don't know how many of them were currently active at the agency, but basically, yeah. And it might be interesting to be there around Christmas, but yeah, and just playing music there, and they didn't want to volunteer cook, or anyone helping. I mean, they have the guests help with that. Just playing music there, I'm worried. One of my main worries is that I want to be there more than that because I am very isolated these days, and I am kind of struggling. So, because of that, and at different times, like I say, when I've been involved in more things, that has helped, honestly. It makes sense when you think about it. But also, I've had some fallouts. And Glenn was saying the other day, he understands that that's somewhat normal. It's unfortunate, but it's somewhat normal. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, I'm taking care of myself well. You telling me I am? I'm trying, but I really do think I'm doing the best I can, but at the same time, this is a mutually supportive thing. It might sound like, oh, I'm just venting or ranting or trying to get counsel. Yes, but also trying to be there for others. So, which is a great segue in a way. So we have, for adults, we have like I think that it won't be misconstrued, but the other one's teens and ones but they like to ask about that question on some of these other lines. For adults, we have one place that sometimes the waits are long. In the morning, not too bad. And sometimes in general, not too bad. And sometimes you get the same person, and some of them gauge it well. Some of them don't. And they say, are you having any thoughts of? You may guess. And I do have thoughts about that. I wouldn't mind talking about it. Like I say, the comments, unless it was a glitch, didn't show after it was posted. But I have thoughts about those that do it. And I was thinking about someone the other day, someone famous actually, and something else could be said to that. But let's just say that. Oh, and then also I tried to find, and don't misconstrue this, please. I was in a group on Facebook and there are other ones. I understand that, and they renamed it to highly sensitive people, HSP, that are thriving. And now I can't find the group. And I mean, I'd had mostly good experiences in it. I hadn't done anything recently. And suddenly I can't find it. It makes me think that maybe some people were sensitive to the name change. I liked it as it was. I'm not thriving, blah, 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 blah. And maybe they got so many complaints that they just said, we're just going to get rid of the group then. If people are going, By that being said, I would have thought if I was the admin, if enough people were complaining about the same thing, maybe it was better the way it was. If it's not broken, don't fix it, and I was going to post about how there is one hospital nearby, and I thought about going in to visit people that, especially over the holidays, but I don't like going in that area, but who don't otherwise have someone. Yeah. Feeling and making impact, a difference, having purpose, yes. I've learned with goals, though, I'll say this much, when you don't reach them for long enough, they start to fade and you start to not want to set them anymore. And that almost fits in also with something I went through recently. But before that, I just want to. So basically, and now I've kind of forgot the previous thing I was mentioning. So if you could help me remember, that would be great. Because I feel like it was, otherwise, I'll have to say it in the comments. We have a second viewer. So hello, welcome. But I wish I could remember. I almost can. Basically, though, so, sometimes it's the best you got sometimes. But, and you get familiar with some of the people on the line, but some of them, and they don't gauge things very well. They sometimes ask that question, and I don't know how to answer it. It's like I'll say one thing. I'll say is it takes bravery and strength to do a certain thing. I would say, and just like most a lot of things with my person in my life, I'm in the middle. So I'm not brave or strong enough to do it, and I guess that's meant to be. It's kind of like, I hope that I can be an impact and inspiration and a help from where I'm at, but maybe I'm going to be one of those people who said, there were so many times I almost gave up, but didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. And I almost had an experience with that recently where I came out of the rabbit hole, whatever, of depression and such, and then something unfortunate happened, and I'm kind of back in there. Anyway, so, and sometimes I don't want to judge this, but if somebody has an accent, you worry that they might not understand, or maybe if they're not familiar with you too. And even sometimes if they are, but they might, because it happens in communication, they might misconceive something. One of the things that's on my mind actually is I'm trying to decide about calling to see about getting a gig somewhere. Thank you. I try. Same with you, right? Getting a gig somewhere, and they said, "Oh, well, we have," and I understand in a way. Even though me and Glenn would take one lump payment and share it or whatever, but sometimes it's financial reasons. They can't have a whole month full of activities. You wouldn't think, and she was kind of new, but at a senior's home. Oh, right, the hospital thing. I think that's what it was. But I don't know if I really want to see sick people. That are and some of them might not be nice. Or just it might be triggering in that kind of environment. It's like I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. Same with having the dog there, who's really great with people, and he'll kiss anybody. And again, he probably shouldn't there because you never know what you might, especially if the person has hygiene issues. But you kind of tell sometimes. But now I forgot the thought I was having when that reminded me of the other thought. Hospitals. Oh, right, seniors' homes. So basically, she had said January, and we still have the second viewer, but you're being quiet. Don't be shy. Don't worry. I try not to be judgmental. I have thoughts, I have opinions, but I try and be gentle with them. But I'm thinking, because we don't have a lot of living local family, especially if it was when Glenn was already off for work, I would say we could do Christmas Eve or Christmas. It would make ours, and it would probably make theirs. But it's one, I'm embarrassed to say that I don't otherwise have plans at this point. And even if we made plans, I'm just noticing a dead leaf on this plant. Even if we made plans, it's. But also, she's not the friendliest. I could leave it with the admin. It might not get to her, though. And also, for GLBG or GIBG, what's that? Giving back to seniors, they need music in their life too. Music and just people, right? And I know that people do it. I just don't know if I'm actually cut out for it or not. But anyway, basically, yeah, it was the embarrassment of, it was the fear of it being rejected or bothering them when she's already kind of said yes to January, but that's far away. And we can pull out a songbook and play from it pretty easily. It is still kind of the holiday season. It's true, but I don't know. It's like I want to. She also, like I say, hasn't been the warmest person. But I want to talk about an experience I went through, but just before I forget. So, yeah, I don't like calling that line. Sometimes I do because it's what we got. Because the other line, one I just started using, and I don't think it's specifically local, but the rate's never long. The first two times, and I think it was after the situation I'd been through, and the one time my spouse got home early. Ironically, Merrick was in the car too, getting a ride home. And that's not anything else, but he wasn't at that situation. But basically, so it's been happening with people and places a little bit. But again, I mean, I'd take the blame if I had any, but mostly I don't. Or it's not something that couldn't have been made better if the other people cooperated better. But basically, they don't usually ask about the S word. But, and in fact, two of them didn't. But the one time, and I called, and the guy answered, and I tried to preface it saying, I don't want to talk about the S word. I think you know what I mean, as the viewers. And I said, at some one recent experience I had, I said, I just want to talk some things through and have a bit of company. And she said, all right, or whatever. And then she said, I do have a couple questions. And she asked one, and the second one was about that. So she still, I mean, it's habit. I don't know if they're worried about getting in trouble if they don't. I don't know. I mean, you can usually, but then some people can do things in so many ways. And so, it doesn't necessarily have to sound like I'm, in a loud place, with a lot of traffic going by or whatever. But, but the one recently, he said, you said you don't want to talk about that. Have you had any thoughts? Have you done anything? I said, what did I just say? And he says, well, you don't need to shout at me. And I says, well, I'm sorry, but, he says, these are screening questions. And I says, well, the last couple of times when I called, they didn't ask that. He says, well, that's their problem. And I should have called him out on the attitude. What I did say was, well, maybe they were just a little bit gentler with how they did things and hung up on him. And now I don't want to call that line. The only other one, they really should have one for a certain community. But the only other one that's in the city, not in the smaller country towns, is one where they have three or four staff that are the main ones. They have been training. I got one of the new ones one night. She was very kind of, the only way I could think of to describe it is she was an abrupt speaker or matter of fact, like she made things sound easier than they might actually be. But she did say there's lots of free events in the city on like the 311 website or whatever, where you don't have to. Well, it's not that they'd be completely cost-free necessarily, but they might be mostly, or they could be if you do it right, do it a certain way. But basically, and she also didn't answer with the name of the place, from what I recall. But then I think I maybe got her a second time, she answered better, or it was somebody else. But they've also had some very close-minded people, whether it's because of religion or what, like not knowing the communities that they serve. If you can stay for just 5 minutes more or something like that, I'd appreciate it, because I think I've almost got my thoughts out here. And then, you can come back and comment later or do a quick comment now and then head out. And I've really appreciated it. There has been two people there, but you're the only one commenting. But basically, and then there's one guy who, he's mentioned, although he's on a certain level of recovery, which I've been at, which leads me to the situation I've had recently somewhere. I don't want to, again, offend anybody or whatever, but he has bipolar. He shared that with me. And there was a point in time, because he wasn't very focused and sometimes not that helpful, where I'd hang up whenever he'd answer because I didn't want to talk to him. And then I gave him a couple more chances. And, he was pretty okay about it. And we were talking about how I want to support others. How do you handle that or whatever? Especially, I think we were talking about an in-person option too. And he says a lot of times when people think that, they don't really want to do that, all the way or at all to themselves. I said, they just want to end their pain. And he goes, no. And I sure didn't talk with him for much longer than that. I may have hung up. I don't know. He's never apologized. It's been brought, I hate to be a Karen, as some people like to say, but it's been brought to management's attention. The point of the matter is, when he recognizes the number, or well, I never say anything when he picks up, but he can remember who he's talked to. I'm probably the only one there with my first name because it's kind of unique. And or if there's notes that look familiar or whatever, and he can call back and apologize. He does seem to be respecting that I'm avoiding him, but like that, so they don't have the greatest people on these lines in some instances. And the one the other day, she has a good memory. I don't know, she kept referring to intake in the website, but not being all that helpful, but she was very generous at the time. The only other thing I want to quickly say, and again, if you're able to comment it now, great. Otherwise, I hope you can come back later, and I hope you have a great dinner. It's weird to think about dinner. It's only 10 o'clock here. But anyway, it's obviously later there, or I don't know, you're about to have a fun day, and you're very blessed, and I hope you realize that, because some of us, not that I'm not grateful or blessed, some of us struggle. We have now one viewer. I don't know if it's the one that's been quiet or Pat, but that statement does make me think of one other quick little thing. Not long ago, we were out somewhere. Glenn was getting a blood test done or whatever, and there was a homeless guy in a wheelchair. I could tell he looked a little, again though, but this is the thing. There are lots of people that are homeless that if you didn't see them actually appearing to be homeless, you might not know they were. And there are lots of people that aren't, that may look a little bit like they are, anyway. But basically, because life is hard and sometimes, it's hard to keep up with things. I don't know, whatever. But part of the matter is, I had we're 31 minutes into things here. I'd had a fallout with somebody that I knew of who used a wheelchair, as we get a second viewer. So it wasn't anything against his disability. It was fairly fresh, and it triggered me a little bit. But I could tell he was being very friendly to anybody that walked past. Hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Blah, 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 mostly that. And the viewer left, whatever. But I was having to wait so damn long. And apparently he ran into Glenn when I was somewhere. I don't remember where. Oh, I was in the bakery. And ironically, because we went to a few bakeries with the one person I'm thinking about. Glad she hasn't came out, but I mean, certain things did. But it wasn't that she wasn't unsupportive. It was the weird statement that she made, and she didn't know what FB meant, even though she uses it. And then when I tried to address it a couple of times, she just talked about other things. So it's weird. But, it was a reconnection that wasn't because there'd ever been a past issue. We just, she didn't have good Wi-Fi, and, she didn't have good phone service for a while. But yeah, basically, point of the matter being is that, and I have to leave at 10:45. So the dog will be able to be out of crate for a little while anyway. Well, I mean, yeah. But anyway, point of the matter being is that, I'm not being super specific, even though I kind of am. But he started asking me curious questions, such as, you have an apartment? Oh, no, we got a house. You have a house? And actually, the other one kind of rhymed. So you married? And he wasn't specific, but said, you married yet? Yeah. You got a spouse? Or you got a partner? It's great to have a partner, isn't it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget that. It's not, I remember something my friend Rivka had said, and it's easier said than done sometimes. It really is. But about the homeless community. And it's not that I judge them or hate them necessarily, but, it's not, some people might say it was a reminder to be grateful. I am grateful. And especially when I've been struggling. My goodness, when my spouse gets home, am I ever happy? Sometimes I applaud, woo, you're home. Encore. Sometimes I joke or give a big long hug, and especially with some of the things that have been happening lately, for both of us, not in the relationship, but I was already thankful, but my goodness, was it a reminder? Whether he wanted those things or not, and some people like living in the outdoors and being home. There's also the one from the ice cream place. Yeah, that's telemarketing. And basically he, hello, hello, and then they hang out. That's happened a couple times recently, unless it's something that he was doing. But this guy asked for money. I said I had to borrow as well, aka from spouse. That's bizarre. Hello, hello. Good morning. Oh, I'm okay. I was just doing a video post, and then I got to go to the dentist soon. But glad to hear from you.
Good to hear. At this point, I spoke with Amber and Natasha Amber, if you don't know Natasha.
Right.
So apparently Amber said that she could refer you to employment services, as this is kind of still your main goal.
Yeah, I have a number of goals, but yeah.
Okay, so if that's one of the main ones, she's either fine sending in the referral herself, or if you prefer it to be Natasha, I mean, it really doesn't matter, either or, sending it in, and then when we get that back, we would let you know.
Referral to where? Oh, okay. ADHD management. Okay, yeah. Well, like I say, there's a few areas, but yeah, that would be great. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not a super common name. I may have known her from another agency. She just no longer works there, or it might be somebody different. But yeah, that would be great if I could get started there.
That we spoke today, I'll say go ahead with the referral, and then when you hear back from that, let me know. And then basically Natasha will be contacting you, and then you guys will be kind of working together moving forward.
Well, I mean, what it sounds like you're saying is doing the one thing first, but we don't know how long that's really going to take, and I'm still not sure where specifically the referral is going to. But I mean, open to having the worker swap, as soon as we can make that happen too. So
again, Natasha would have more information about the referral process.
Okay, so she'll contact me then sometime soon. Okay, perfect.
Just the last thing though, they both have agreed that they won't be able to be going to the food bank with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm really trying to phase out of that, but it's been a struggle. But yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye. Which is stupid though, because some people's workers do. I'm glad he finally got back to me. But yeah, while I'm thinking about it, I should go down to them. I don't know if that meant anything. Well, thinking about so yeah, basically this guy, and I remember what I was talking about. This guy, it was so weird. It was back to back, but one was not a local number, and it hung up, and that they did that a couple of days ago. But anyway, unless it's a system they're using, but I think he uses the phone. Anyway, point of the matter is, he asked for money. I said no, I had to borrow as well. And then he sat with his back facing me. This is not the wheelchair guy. I didn't know his name, so that's what I'll call him. If somebody does know a name, they can use their first name and still make somebody anonymous. But that being said, or when they say let's call them or him or whatever, I mean, it's obvious that you're using a fake name then. But like, I guess if a situation's specific enough and you're using a first name and it's localized or whatever, it might be obvious. Part of the matter is that and I don't know if any of this is meant to be talked about with the worker because it came up right then, but yeah, is that they so I think we got it that she's going to contact me next, hopefully soon, but it might be while I'm out, unfortunately. I'll see what the weather's doing shortly. Anyway, he had his back towards me and just sat there for 15 minutes, but Glenn had his bike down where he was, so I only had to get my bike and the Sunday was in a cup, and I was able to cardboard cup. I was able to kind of fold it a little bit and bike there and wait there. And actually, I got there not long before he came out of the store. But and I wish he would never leave it right there. And I think he agrees there might not be a place to keep it at the dentist, so bring it home first, which means you have to leave a bit earlier. Or I'm going to suggest put it in the work truck if you can, and or get a quick lift back home if Eugene's able to leave, and make it easier. And then I'll go there with them maybe, but then I'll come back because I don't really want to wait there. But appreciate the time together, and that. But yeah, so basically. But just in case he happens to be going by here, rather than have to go all the way back just for the bike, if doable. But basically, yeah. So that was awkward. He didn't say anything to me. He didn't seem rough, but he definitely seemed sad. And I wish I'd said more to him, but I mean, it's not exactly. I mean, first of all, again, he didn't look super duper friendly, but he wasn't a problem. It's not exactly easy when someone's back is facing you. And then also, I couldn't decide what to say. I don't know if I should have told that guy about a situation that I've been going through. I don't know. I don't want to cancel my first appointment. I hope it can be at home. I mean, Amber knows I'm great, blah, blah. I don't say from that. But anyway, basically, it'd be great if we had a viewer, but that one viewer did stay for quite a long time. But basically, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing a little bit. But you know what? When I think about it, a little bit the weather, more so, even if they were older, and I'm just a volunteer facilitator, I don't know if certain things would be expected of me in connection to like what would and wouldn't be okay with other members, or if we're allowed to have our own free will as adults. But honestly, how it wasn't self-fulfilling, the groups I wanted to help facilitate. But is there really all that much I could have done in doing them? And if not, the phone lines weren't very busy, in that one particular area. So maybe there wasn't as much opportunity there as I thought, but maybe there was. And it fell apart because somebody could not communicate very well. I pretty quickly thought of them as a pretty good communicator when they said, I'm here Tuesday night and all day Wednesday. I guess maybe that's what she was saying, we can connect then, but she's also working then. And she gave me her email address, said, email me if you had any ideas. I was available to do so. I thought of some things. So I sent. And maybe I got a little birdie, but not bad. Point matter is, there was some misconceived notions because they didn't know me very well, and I was new in the environment. But she was too, actually, which I don't think is anything to the point. I mean, but she had worked there in the summers, and basically, and Pam was just hoity-toity and maybe a bit of a complainer or something. I don't know. And then the library one, maybe that was a good opportunity to just find something and because I did feel a certain way. It's toxic. And I could go there and say, this is the only time I'm coming in. I just really want to get what I want to say said, and hopefully you'll have a helpful response. But if it doesn't go as I would like it to, or at least decent, it's a waste of me going all the way out there. It's awkward, and who knows what they might. I mean, as far as I know, he said I could still go to groups and I could still go to my appointments there, but it might be like, if I'm interacting with them, then that's going against what they've asked me to do. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's hard to find people to talk to. I was just someone who's probably very busy at work, just had to make a quick call to me about something, and that's done now. And if I shared something with him, he might say, I'm sorry to hear that you went through that. That doesn't sound very pleasant. But you can talk more about that with Natasha if you'd like. I'm hoping it's the one that I used to be familiar with, actually. She's musical, and I'm familiar with her, and she was pretty good contact. Like I say, she just left the job, the job she was at. It's a similar field, kind of, sort of. So we had lost touch, but yeah, I no offense to any Natalie's, but I don't like that name as much. And I didn't like the person as much either. They had a Natalie and Natasha working on one line actually for a while. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up, let the dog go to the crate for about, or maybe just visit with him on the bed for about 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll have to put him in. So that's about 10:20. Get myself gathered up, 10:30, 10:40. I'll walk there. It's not far. I don't want to think of it as the trigger of the group and of that opportunity. 10:40. Can't delete those comments now that I've covered them. I could react to these comments, but I did in the video. So yeah, 10:30, 10:40. I'd probably get there at 11 if I left. Maybe 11:15 though, which is only 15 minutes early. It looks a little foggy out. I don't think it's snowing that hard, but I will have to see that too to decide. But yeah, he knows I've been home the whole time and I've had him kept in that room, and yeah. But anyway, but he's been very good. But yeah. Well, so she can leave a message then. I hope she gets back to me very soon. We were already on Thursday. It's interesting that he called pretty close to when she was going to be starting the group. Maybe that's why she was thinking of me and she just was talking to him briefly or whatever. It does start for another 20 minutes. 10 minutes? 20 minutes. Yeah. But sounds like they've all had their meeting. I really didn't think anybody needed to be involved any further, and I hope I hear from her soon. If he's talking to her, he might say he was heading out to the dentist, so maybe wait till later today or tomorrow. And hopefully that ball gets rolling. So I can only do as much as I can do, and then I start needing support. So anyway, I hope that I do and don't feel like I've been. What can I leave you with if you've watched this far? It's really hard because I'm still struggling too, so it's hard to kind of, instill lots of hope for others, although easier than it is for myself maybe, when I don't know what's going to happen in your life. I don't know, I guess I would just say this. No matter what you're going through, be kind. Try not to prejudge people. Try and communicate well, especially directly. I thought about the situation I've been through recently, and I thought to myself, if I'd had those feelings, yeah, and I had seniority or whatever over staff versus volunteer, would I have done something similar? And I don't know if Glenn fully caught that I was speaking about this, in the rest. I mean, somebody was over the rock and then still got into the piano. It's kind of like, possibly, but I also would have said something directly. But then again, I guess I understand. Like, you don't want, like, if anybody that knows me would know that even though I do have emotions and I do get passionate sometimes, with them, I'm harmless and I'm easy to talk to. And I did nothing wrong. Like, I should have definitely came across as someone who communicated well, friendly, easy to talk to. But at that particular place, them and others can just as easily have, I hate to say this, please don't take it the wrong way, but mood swings. And they knew who my kind of boss was. Maybe they thought it was really best that he did it, but they've been not at all involved in it. Well, but he also said they really weren't interested in talking about it further, which was really none at all. These were the feelings expressed, him to handle it, and that was it. I suppose I don't know what I'd do in that situation. I know this morning I thought, well, I'd say something to them directly. But then, that would take away any possibility of being anonymous if I decided I want to. And it could cause anxiety, this and that. But if she's working with adults and when she lives amongst them too, you can't just communicate with kids, and they can all be difficult. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just weird. It was just really odd. A couple of weeks ago when I went to the dentist, that the things are improving, so I care a little bit more. Plus, I got the coverage. Here I am. Now it's kind of like I don't really care if I get an infection. I can pick things out there. It's not tender. It's not sore. That's the second one in. I'm worried about what I feel like not being there. But I've got this appointment, and I don't think they would charge my coverage if I didn't take it. I think it would be good for me to get out of the house for a little bit too. And but then I might want this one to be the next one because it's hardly any tooth on the back. Not as bad, like say, on the front as I thought, but I don't know. I feel very ambivalent about going today, but you know what? Our insurance plan covers it, and it's wasted coverage. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's wasted coverage if we don't use it by the end of the year. We've only used about 150 there, and then when they looked, probably about that there too, but minus the X-ray, maybe 100, so 250, I think that is. And then I'll probably have a good chunk of it left, actually, to be honest. But I don't know if it was $1,250 each or combined, because these things can be expensive. Hopefully, you know what? That did give me a glimmer of hope, though. They are willing to assign me with another worker because of a thing that happened. And they are willing to, even though they want to do it, he wouldn't say where, unless he doesn't know where they're thinking, but they've been talking. So he wouldn't say where, and it's probably somewhere that, I mean, in fact, the students were supposed to put me at this lady had working with her. And actually, they came by themselves once, briefly, but together, but themselves, like not with her. They were supposed to refer me to a place that's not super far. I'd never heard of it. I'm probably still on the wait list. But they are. It's been taking some time, but we're all working with it pretty good. And hopefully, it's still enough of this year left that they would. But yeah, it's. So I think that it was obvious that I have a few different things I'm struggling with, and it almost actually makes more sense to kind of, talk about whether I want to do meds or what else I want to do. And it's not just ADHD, but it's almost more depression than anything else. Talk about what I want to do with, and I almost don't want the focus to be on the ADHD. I mean, I do have it. I think it's not bad, actually. I think the other things are worse. And it's just been a real struggle to kind of, for access and help. But yeah, so basically, those things I think have to come before employment supports. And I've been around the block a few times, so I don't know. And they know that. Amber knows damn well, some of the things I've been talking about, my experiences. Some of it may have been more with the students that she had when she wasn't there. But you would think that she would look at the notes that they made. And I'm pretty sure it was with both at different times, maybe. And I've addressed the comments, but yeah. And, it's kind of like, they're still trying to plug away with that. Like, have you not been listening? Now, I just want to make sure, because they might not show afterwards because that was being a bit wonky. I don't have time to look at Facebook. I don't really need to at the moment. The morning's kind of plugging away quickly on me here, and I need to get going here soon. But I just want to quickly look at the comments that I did get, because I do appreciate them. And just in case I missed something or want to touch quickly on something that I only kind of touched on earlier, because they might not show afterwards. I noticed that the other day. I'm hoping it was just a glitch, but. Be good about it. If they support and focus to moving forward, it's helpful. Just bellyache and complaining leads nowhere. Yeah, well, sometimes there was activities, and they always tried to make it a bit of half and half. But sometimes lately the activities had been mental health based, so or like the top had been topics about mental health and stuff. Always those you go at every age you have to play the hand you play the hand you're given. Community is important. You're taking care of yourself well. It's nice that she gets that impression. I'd like to be doing better about it, but I'm trying. Having goals and she didn't capitalize it, but and feeling like you're making progress is very helpful. C5. Kind people are needed in this world. Do it once a month. Yeah, I don't have to do it a lot. That's true. About the hospital thing or seniors thing. And there is one nearby. Don't like, yeah. I'll have to consider it. Anyway, gotta go. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.